Good evening. The Fairborn School's annual Hall of Honor enshrinement ceremony has a long and very proud history. Over 30 years, a group of committed and passionate volunteers created this very special evening to honor those alumni, staff, and community members whose achievements bring to Fairborn and its schools a great honor. The original Hall of Honor committee had 20 members, and they were Mary Lou Andes, Howard Cross, Jack and Judy Gayhart, John Haynes, Bernie Hilbrink, Judy Hobbs, Alan Nisley, Gertrude Palmer, Barb Parsons, Stephen Skovic, Mary Spar, Melvin Sturts, Thomas Swaim, Walter Vassbinder, Barb Weber, Bill West, Lloyd Williams, George Winkhouse, and Tom Wright, many names that we recognize as important figures in Fairborn. At the very first Hall of Honor enshrinement ceremony, founding member Bernie Hilbrink read a poem titled "The Bridge Builder." His fervent wish that for those who were enshrined in the Hall of Honor would serve as mentors and a shining example to our current students. I wish to thank Mr. Hilbrink for selecting a message to inspire future generations by linking them to those who bring honor to our community in the past. I'd like to now share that inspiring poem with you. It's called "The Bridge Builder." An old man going a lone highway came at the evening cold and gray to a chasm vast and deep and wide, through which was flowing a sullen tide. The old man crossed in the twilight dim. The rapids held no fear for him, but he turned when safe on the other side and built a bridge to span the tide. "Old man," cried a fellow pilgrim near, "you're wasting your time in building here. Your journey will end with the closing day. You never again will pass this way. You have crossed the chasm deep and wide. Why build you this bridge at eventide?" The builder lifted his old gray head. "Good friend, in the path I have come," he said, "there follows after me today a youth whose feet must pass this way. This stream, which has been naught to me, to that fair-haired youth may a pitfall be. He too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I'm building the bridge for him."
Welcome to our 31st Annual Hall of Honor program. If this is your first time to a Hall of Honor program, we're very glad you came. If you've attended before, welcome back. Tonight we honor and celebrate with great warmth and pride the achievements of the sons and daughters of the Fairborn City Schools and the Fairborn community. There are people here tonight from coast to coast and many points in between. They are the friends, relatives, neighbors, classmates, teachers, and acquaintances. Tonight, we honor our inductees who have brought great credit to themselves, to the Fairborn City Schools, and the Fairborn community. We honor these individuals for their lives of service, achievement, and commitment. As the colors are brought forward, please stand and then join in the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Air Force Junior ROTC Cadet Captain Josh Honan, Honor Guard Commander, and remain standing for the invocation, which will be given by Associate Pastor Megan Howard of the First United Methodist Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
It is a blessing to join you this evening. Will you please join me in prayer? Let us pray. Almighty God, we come before you this evening to give you honor and praise. We recognize that you are the creator of all that is good, and thank you for the many blessings that you have given. We especially thank you for the opportunity to gather this evening and celebrate the achievements of these men and women. They have dedicated their lives to service and community. We pray that they might continue to serve as an inspiration for those who walk in their footsteps. And finally, we ask your continued presence at this celebration and within this incredible community. It is in your holy name we pray. Amen.
Mrs. Coretta. You may be seated. He was born, raised, and educated in Southern California. A job transfer brought him to the Dayton area. He soon met Donna and her 3 children, Tara, Joe, and Mike. He and Donna were married and moved to Fairborn, where Donna owned and operated a flower shop. He became involved with various volunteer activities, including the City of Fairborn Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, where he has served for 7 years. He also serves on the steering committee of the Ohio Coalition for Equity and Adequacy of School Funding, and as vice president of the Ohio Public Education Partners, both statewide advocacy groups supporting Ohio public schools and the students they serve. Elected to the Fairborn City Schools Board of Education in 2013, he currently serves as its president. May I present Andrew Wilson, president of the Fairborn City Schools Board of Education.
Thank you and welcome to the 31st Annual Hall of Honor Enshrinement. Tonight we honor 6 individuals who have contributed greatly to either their community or their business world. And many are graduates of Fairborn City Schools, and some have served as staff members of the Fairborn City School System. The thing to remember through all of this, and everyone in this room, you did not arrive at this situation in your lives without the help of numerous teachers and mentors in your lives. So a big thank you to all of the educators, both within Fairborn and throughout the nation, who educate the staff and students, future staff and students. Also, this event would not happen without the 18 members of the Hall of Honor Committee. So those of you that are in the audience, if you raise your hands and be acknowledged by the audience. So thank you, friends and family of the honorees, and we will continue on.
Many of Fairborn City Schools' outstanding students are participating in these enshrinement activities. Students participating in the Friday morning inductee speaker sessions, vocalists in the chamber chorale, instrumentalists in the orchestra and jazz ensemble, cadets of the honor guard, student ambassadors, ushers, and escorts, which together number approximately 170 students, all are representative of today's student body. They help bridge the gap between the times of tonight's inductees and the present student population. It is this connection that helps meet a goal of the Hall of Honor, that the current students might draw inspiration from and establish future goals based on accomplishments of those who have gone before. On the stage is one of these students. Malaya Rivers is a senior at Fairborn High School and is the 2017-18 president of Student Congress. Malaya is also a member of the football cheerleading squad, National Honor Society, Interact Club, Environmental Club, and currently a freshman focus leader. She plans to attend the University of Kentucky in the fall and major in pre-nursing. In her free time, Malaya enjoys hanging out with her friends, along with volunteering at the United Methodist Church. She also works at the Huber Heights YMCA, part-time in the nursery. May I present Malaya Rivers, president of the Fairborn High School Student Congress.
Hello, I am Malaya Rivers, Student Congress President, and I would like to welcome you all to the 2018 Hall of Honor ceremony. The Hall of Honor has been a long-standing tradition here at Fairborn, where we would like to express our great appreciation for the outstanding leadership of our graduates. This honor is vastly looked upon by younger generations, and at this time I would like to offer felicitations to previous recipients who have been enshrined, celebrated, and honored for their efforts, and I hope the influence of these individuals will continue to prosper over time. On behalf of the student body, staff, and community of Fairborn, I would like to offer congratulations to all new inductees and express great appreciation for your achievements. Thank you.
He received his bachelor's degree in special education and health education from the University of Akron in 1987 and his master's degree in educational administration from Ashland University in 1990. He began his educational career as a special education teacher, football, basketball, and softball coach at Morgan High School in 1987. He was a special education teacher at Licking Heights High School, assistant principal at Madison High School, principal of Gorham Fayette Junior Senior High School, and assistant superintendent at Groveport Local School District. Since 1995, he has been superintendent at Southern Local District, Frontier Local School District, and Southwest Licking School District and Lebanon City Schools. Superintendent North is in his second year in the Fairborn City School District as the district embarks on a new building project with groundbreaking June 1st. He has served as a member of the Buckeye Association of School Administrators and has given frequent presentations at conferences and workshops sponsored by the Ohio School Boards Association. He and his wife, Kate, reside in Fairborn and are proud parents of Elena, a student at Fairborn High School, and Lexi, a student at Baker Middle School. May I present the superintendent of Fairborn City Schools, Mark North.
Welcome to our 31st Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor Enshrinement Ceremony. Tonight, we honor 6 extraordinary people. Because of their exceptional achievements and their unwavering devotion to their professions and communities, they serve as exemplary role models for our students and our school. Thank you for joining us tonight, and congratulations to the class of 2018.
The words to the Fairborn alma mater were penned by Harry Smith, class of 1912, who served the Fairborn schools for 40 years and who is enshrined in the Hall of Honor. He set the words to the familiar and well-known music of the Cornell University alma mater. When this segment of the program was first presented in one of the early Hall of Honor ceremonies, it was an instant hit with the audience and now has become a tradition. There is a certain warmth, mellowness, and magical quality about an alma mater that turns back time, fades the years, and brings alive scenes from the past. Hear it and enjoy again. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand and recall your high school memories as the Chamber Chorale, under the direction of Karen Goretta, sings the Fairborn High School alma mater. You may be seated. At this time, I would like to introduce some distinguished attendees of tonight's induction ceremony. Fairborn City Schools Board of Education Vice President Katie Millad and board members Jerry Browning, Mary Reister, and Pat McCourt, if they're in attendance. Elected official Rick Perales and his wife Becca. Hall of Honor Selection and Induction Committee members, and previous Hall of Honor inductees who may be in attendance tonight, and when I read your name, please stand. Judy Smith Jagger-Mesher, Thomas R. Kugler, Beth Wilhelm Capelli, Ron L. McDermott, Barbara W. Parsons, M. Joyce Dennis, Judy Kyle Hobbs, William N. Arnold, Eugene C. Fisher, Melvin J. Sturtz, S. Jack Gayhart. Did we miss anyone? Dr. Michael Sewer. We apologize, sir. And thank you for attending tonight. Kathy Russell Rader graduated in 1972 from Fairborn Baker High School, where she was a member of the National Honor Society, a cappella choir, drama and speech club, secretary of the senior class, vice president of student council, and warrant office of the Flyerettes. She was a delegate to Buckeye Girls State and named one of 4 outstanding teenagers of America. She earned a Bachelor of Science from Bowling Green and a Master of Science from the University of Dayton, where she was inducted into Phi Delta Kappa. She joined the Fairborn City Schools in 1976 and taught English and composition until she had to take a medical disability in 1997. She developed accelerated and remedial literature, composition and reading programs, and co-authored a new English curriculum. She was director of the Flyerette Corps, coach of the Power of the Pen Interscholastic Writing Team, and advisor for the National Junior Honor Society. She was also a 5-year adjunct faculty member at Sinclair Community College. She has received multiple awards and was the Fairborn City Schools Teacher of the Year in 1989. She is a member of many organizations and is the administrator of the In Memory of Fairborn Students, Faculty, and Staff Gone But Not Forgotten website. She and her husband, Don Rader, class of 1966, and former Baker band director, reside in Centerville. Superintendent North, it is my honor to present for enshrinement into the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor, Kathleen A. Russell Rader.
Good evening, honored guests, friends, family, colleagues, and Hall of Honor members. I am truly pleased, humbled, honored, and yes, overwhelmed to receive this recognition and to join past recipients whom I have long respected and admired. A very special thanks to the selection committee, as well as a salute to all of this year's inductees, all of whom have made incredible contributions to the Fairborn City Schools and our community. An integral part of my life is my family, my parents, my husband, my siblings, and my 15 nieces and nephews, whom I would like to introduce those who are here. My dad, Jerry Russell. Dad, if you would please stand. My father is a 1947 graduate of Bath Township Consolidated High School. My husband, Don Rader, class of 1966 and former band director of Fairborn Baker, whom I met under a blistering sun during band camp. Don. My siblings, if they would stand, please. My brother Jim, class of 1970. My sister Maureen, class of 1980. And my youngest sister, Sheila, class of 1984. My sister Julie, class of 1973, is not here this evening because she is with her daughter, who graduates tomorrow, and tonight she is receiving an Outstanding Senior Award at Wright State. Growing up in the Russell household, my parents emphasized the importance of education. As a very young child, a love of reading, a desire to learn, and the satisfaction that comes from a job well done were nurtured within me and my siblings. We knew that education was the ticket that would gain us admittance to every venue. Excellence was commanded by my parents, and they supported and encouraged us in every academic pursuit and activity. For years, they were permanent fixtures in the bleachers for every flyerette performance, in the auditorium for every theater and choir performance, and front and center for academic recognitions. The lessons ingrained in me from my home were the ones that I stressed in my teaching: the importance of education, and that success is achieved by setting goals, having values, and being disciplined. Yes, I loved learning. I loved school. I loved teaching. I loved my teachers, well, most of them. And that love of learning made me passionate about teaching. I sought to instill a lifelong, enduring passion for learning and to challenge my students to do more than what was expected. While at Fairborn City Schools, I too was fortunate to have many dedicated teachers. One is here this evening, Michael Seaver, who was fortunate enough to not only have me, but my brother Jim and my youngest sister Sheila in class. Michael's passion for learning, as well as history, inspired us to question, anticipate, and evaluate. He expected his students to think. Novel idea that might have been for some. Teaching in the Fairborn City Schools has afforded me many opportunities for which I am deeply appreciative. Directing the flyerets and returning for the first time since 1969 to the Stebbins Indoor Drill Team Contest, the 1977-78 flyerets again carried home first place trophy. With the power of the pen, I was privileged to guide students who devoted enormous time and energy perfecting their writing skills, as well as to develop the composure to write in a set amount of time on a topic unknown to them. They worked diligently daily after school and even wrote at home on vacations and snow days. And then they gave up their weekends to compete. I've never thought of teaching as just a job, but rather a profoundly challenging and rewarding profession. And I still miss teaching as much today as I did when I had to leave in 1997. My days in the Fairborn City School classroom were some of the happiest and most fulfilling. My students, their warmth, their laughter, their diligence, and the many devoted teachers and administrators with whom I have developed lifelong friendships. These people I truly miss. Despite attending social events and the frequent communication with many that social media offers, I miss the day-to-day connection with my students, my colleagues, and the repartee. This is not something that can be replaced or compensated for. Charles Kettering, the American engineer and inventor, stated, "High achievement always takes place in the framework of high expectation." I am a firm believer in you get what you expect. And without exception, I expected quality and excellence from my students. My unwavering expectations were clear and the bar was set high. I never altered my reserve, I never altered my resolve in their ability to achieve. Not only would they achieve the expectations, they would surpass them. I believed in them and had faith in their ability to excel. Excuse me. My goal was motivated students who were learning about literature, life, writing, and themselves. I wanted my students to see their personal value and find the strength and confidence in a journey down the path they were created to walk and to give it all they have. William Butler Yeats said education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. I hope for my students that I was a spark by instilling confidence in them, making a difference in their lives, empowering them to take control of their own learning and the evolution of their behavior, attitudes, and thinking. Often at the end of the school year, a Rod Stewart song would echo through my classroom. May the good Lord be with you down every road you roam, and may sunshine and happiness surround you when you're far from home. And may you grow to be proud, dignified, and true, and may you do unto others as you have done to you. Be courageous, be brave, and in my heart, you'll always stay forever young. May good fortune be with you. May your guiding light be strong. Build a stairway to heaven with a prince or a vagabond. And may you never love in vain, and in my heart you will remain. And when you finally fly away, I'll be hoping that I served you well. For all the wisdom of a lifetime, no one can ever tell. But whatever road you choose, I'm right behind you, win or lose. Thank you very much for this honor and distinction. Thank you.
Robert Blot, an internationally acclaimed environmental lawyer, graduated in 1983 from Fairborn High School, where he was a member of the National Honor Society, Quill and Scroll, soccer and track teams, yearbook staff, brass choir, and symphonic, pep, and marching bands. He earned a Bachelor of Arts from New College and a Juris Doctorate cum laude from the Ohio State University College of Law. He is a partner in the law firm of Stetness and Hollister, LLP, where he has worked for 27 years on matters involving local, state, and federal environmental laws. One of his cases involved the contamination of the Ohio River by the chemical PFOA-C8 released by DuPont Company. The successful resolution of this case was featured in the New York Times Magazine and on a National Geographic television program. He has received numerous awards, including a Clarence Dowo Award and a Wright Livelihood Award, and has been listed for several years in Best Lawyers in America and other legal publications. He has spoken at universities across the United States and in many foreign venues, including Germany, Switzerland, and Sweden. He is a board member of Less Cancer and has been inducted into the Working in Neighborhood Hall of Fame. He and his wife, Sarah, have 3 sons, Teddy, Charlie, and Tony, and they reside in Crescent Spring, Kentucky. Superintendent North, it is my honor to present for enshrinement into the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor, Robert A. Blot.
Thank you. Good evening. It's really my honor to be here tonight, and I'm very humbled to be on the stage with those of you here tonight and those in the audience who were introduced earlier. As indicated, it was 35 years ago that I was in this building. That was my senior year in high school. It was the year the 2 high schools merged together, Fairborn Baker, Fairborn Park Hills. And that was the point in time where I was sitting down trying to figure out where was I going to go from here? Where was I going to go to college? What was I going to do? And I'm now in the point in time where I'm sitting down with my high school senior who's trying to figure out what he's going to do, where he's going to go. And he's struggling with that. He's really struggling with the idea of going somewhere new, meeting new people, going into a new community. And I was sitting thinking about that today, and it occurred to me, we have a special gift for having been in the Fairborn City School system. And, it's a unique community, a unique school system. When I started in school here, in elementary school back in the early 1970s, still during the Vietnam War era, all the way up until the early 80s when I graduated high school, we had a big military presence. And when you were in school, you had a lot of kids that were either coming into your class that year or had left your class the prior year. So you really learned how to meet new people and have to get along with new groups of people on a much more frequent basis than probably we all realize until you start meeting and talking to folks from other communities. And that really hit me talking when I was meeting with my son today and realized what a unique gift we have from being in the Fairborn City School system. Really helps us expand our view and be more able to go out and meet new people, go new places, do new things. And I really have to thank the staff, the teachers, the people within the Fairborn City School system who helped all of us get through that system. And I think it really helped me be able to get out and go far away to college, go down to Florida, go into a new city for law school, then move to a new city where I started work. And then during my work, working with all kinds of different clients, some corporate clients, some private people, and really be able to adapt and change a lot quicker than maybe other people who haven't been brought up in the school system. So I really want to thank the Fairborn City School system, the teachers, the staff. I think you're creating a unique environment here that we all should cherish. But I really want to thank my family. My wife and 3 children actually couldn't be here tonight because, as I indicated, one of my kids is a senior, the other's in high school. It's prom. So there are more important things right now in that going on. But my parents are here, and I have to really thank my parents, my dad, Ray, who's sitting out here in the audience, my mom, Emily, who they were here helping me get through school, showing up, watching every band practice, no matter how painful that might have been, going to every school function, always being there, always being supportive, and that's critical, as I think we all know, in any child's education. And I really am honored that they're here. And I have to say I'm equally honored that my sister is here, Beth. She got to share my experience in the Fairborn City School Districts with me because she was 1 year ahead. So I got to see everything in a little sneak peek as she went through the process. So I'm really honored that she's here. Beth actually was on the Florettes for several years, and I think ended up actually being the captain in her senior year. So has had some great experience in this school system as well. And so I'm very proud that they're here, that they have supported me throughout my career, and Beth's husband, Terry, as well. So again, I want to thank you all. I want to thank the committee for allowing me to be part of this group, and thank you all for allowing me to be here tonight. Thank you.
James Rout graduated in 1998 from Fairborn High School, where he was a member of the a cappella choir, French club, and the symphonic, marching, jazz, and pep bands. He earned an emergency medical technician and firefighter certification from Sinclair Community College and a paramedic certification from Clark State. He was employed part-time by the City of Englewood Fire Department and the Enon Fire Emergency Medical Services Department, rising to the position of Captain of Operations in Enon. He is currently holding a part-time position at Soin Medical Center, where he is an emergency room technician. He joined the Fairborn Fire Department in 2005, which was a special move because his father, James L. Rout Sr., was a volunteer firefighter in Fairborn. He has been assigned to all the stations, and in 2016, he was promoted to lieutenant. He has been awarded 3 fire department life-saving ribbons for 3 separate incidences and was named Fairborn's Firefighter of the Year in 2011. JR is passionate about music and is the director of the Miami Valley Music Men, a barbershop chorus, and is the lead singer in Grand Slam, a barbershop quartet. He and his wife, Lena, reside in Tip City and have 3 children. Marissa is a student at Bethel High School, and Ryan and Emmeline are students at Bethel Elementary School. Superintendent North, it is my honor to present for enshrinement into the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor, James L. Rout.
Thank you. Good evening. Part of getting older, I have to put my glasses on now. Luckily, I type my message, so I don't have to worry about reading my own handwriting. Sometimes that's difficult. First, I want to thank the committee for considering me and even being nominated for this an amazing award, and then for selecting me to be enshrined into this exclusive group. It is truly an honor for me, and I'm humbled to receive this award. I would personally like to thank Pam Gayhart and Barb Parsons. It's so hard for me to say that, Mrs. Parsons. While preparing for tonight, it's amazing the things that these ladies do and the whole committee, but these two specifically behind the scenes. I don't think I received more emails from anyone than Barb Parsons in a month period, telling me she needed more words. So here they are. But thank you for that. You know, as I look back kind of in reflecting and preparing for tonight, you look back and you think, man, who were the people that really had an impact on my life? And I'm sure every one of us can say it's not just one person. There's many, many people. And of course, I am the same way. You know, teachers, guidance counselors, directors, other students. In some way or another, they all had a part of who I am today. My family, though, are the most important people in my life, and they are the reason that I'm standing here tonight. My amazing wife, Lena, thank you for your support and your love through all of our adventure together. It's been kind of crazy for a little while. And keeping me grounded when I need it, which turns out to be quite a lot of the time. To my kids, Marissa, Ryan, and Emmeline, thank you for making me a father. You are truly my pride and joy. One example tonight of my wife's selflessness and her dedication to our family is we're here tonight, but it's also her birthday. So if we could all just say happy birthday to my wife, Lena. Yep. Thank you. Yep. I will be lucky to wake up in the morning after that one, but truly, it is an honor to be here. You know, sorry, I got to get this in with my kids. Thanks for teaching me new things every day, especially like with social media. You know, I don't know how to use some of that stuff, so they're there to help me through all that stuff. And thank you to all my extended family and friends here in the audience tonight. Some of you I had no idea were coming, and I'm going to try to keep this together as we move forward. I knew at a young age that I wanted to become a firefighter. And I know just about every other boy in the world, a young boy in the world, wants to be a firefighter, right? We all want to jump on an engine and do all the fun stuff. But, you know, I knew that it was different for me because not only does every little boy want to be a firefighter, they really down deep really want to be just like their dad. You know, they are the ones that we look up to growing up, and there's nothing more in the world that I wanted than to be like my dad. And I have had the amazing opportunity to do both. As you heard, he was a volunteer fireman here in the city of Fairborn. And my mother also served on, at the time, was called PACT. It was basically a Citizens on Patrol program with the police department. My sister Jennifer here tonight, she's a student, graduated many years before me, because she's a lot older than I am. No, I'm just kidding. She graduated in 1993. Thank you for that, yeah. But I remember, and we talk about this frequently, growing up in our pajamas and blankets in the back of the family station wagon as Mom and Dad were on duty, going around and helping the Fairborn Police Department. And I think that, and seeing the examples of the men and women that they worked with, really kind of instilled that fire in me to want to be a public servant. So I went on and started the process. I always knew that I wanted to help people. I think that's my calling from God, is to help people. And but there's some reality to this as well. So one of those realities is when I was going to school, I also had to pay the bills, right? And so I worked full-time in retail. I won't mention the place. And I was a middle kind of, manager or whatever there after a few years. And then I went on to work with another company in the retail world through my boss from the first place. At any rate, long story short, I quickly realized that helping people for me was not in retail. All right? And no offense to anyone out there that's a serious Christmas shopper, but I have been treated worse during the Christmas season at a retail location than I've ever been treated by one of the patients that I take care of. So, and that is the unfortunate truth. One of the other many blessings that came out of my early career was that's how I met my wife. I always tease, myself, I guess, and tell my kids that, Mommy was my boss, and she still is today. So, but that's kind of how we met. And so as I was going through school, I was working. And then one of the things, as I reflected back, that really stood out was how much of a time management specialist that made me. But it wasn't because of that. It was because of the experiences that I had within these walls, specifically in the high school. As you heard, I was a part of, I think, every band that they had to offer. We may have even created one at one time. And just like with any extracurricular activity, there were many nights of rehearsals, Mondays and Thursday nights, and then football games and competitions, specifically marching band. But I still had to get my work done, because if you didn't make the grade, you couldn't do the fun stuff. And so that helped me develop into be what I think is a great time management specialist. Again, don't ask my wife. So there were, and I'm trying to keep this short, I'm really sorry. There's a lot of people through my life that I think that God put into my life in His perfect timing to really help mold me into who I am today. And I just kind of want to go through and kind of highlight the ones that stick out most to me. First was my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Grimshaw. I remember that during this time I experienced hurt and lost feelings when you get when someone leaves you in kindergarten. Ms. Grimshaw had to medically retire halfway through the year, completely unknown to us students, and I believe also to her. But I remember her for her kindness and compassion, and I was so happy the day that just arbitrarily I got a Facebook notification that she wanted to be my Facebook friend. And so we've kind of reunited through that, and it's good catching up with her. In first grade, I had Mrs. Lieber, and she was one of the coolest teachers you could ever have. Like, she was that teacher that everyone wanted to have. She would dance and sing during class, and now, later as an adult, I realized that she was the first teacher to really instill responsibility into her students' lives. See, we had this rabbit and gerbil that were class pets. And each week, the student of the week had a chance to take the gerbil home to take care of for that week. Obviously, this was, important life lesson builder that I still remember to today. Second grade, and I promise you I'm not going to keep going all through the grades, but second grade was a very new experience for me and for this lady. I had Miss Newmeyer. Her name has changed now, but she was a brand new teacher. I think she just graduated, and they filled the spot with her. Poor woman. But this was also the first time I ever had a male teacher in my life, who was Mr. Shupp. We switched classes for like reading and math, and I remember that he was just this huge, intimidating person. And walked down the hallways and people parted ways. He was just this massive, intimidating man who turned out to have an equally sized heart. He loved children, he loved teaching, and he had this special way of doing it that I have never experienced, and I remember it to this day. I was very saddened to hear that he had passed years ago. Third grade, I had Miss Snyder. Now, she was the teacher that no one wanted to have. You go to the list and you see, okay, I have this teacher. And she's the one that all the now fourth grade students said, you don't want her. And so guess who got her? This guy. And what I found out through being in her class was she was pretty upfront. She was pretty bold. And she was strict. But her compassion and desire for her students to excel was second to none. The most memorable moment of my childhood, or I thought so at that time, was sitting in her classroom the day that the Challenger space shuttle launch happened with, as Krista McCullough, a young school teacher, was on board herself. However, as we all know, the tragedy that happened or became of that day, but it again brought the feeling that I had felt of that shock and sadness. Mrs. Snyder quickly turned into all of our mothers. And just the instant that it happened, she started to comfort us, started to explain things to us, and made it not so scary anymore. In fourth grade, remember just a minute ago when I said the most memorable moment I thought happened in third grade? I was wrong. It was in fourth grade. Mrs. Summers was my fourth grade teacher. And her, along with some of the next few people that I would mention, made the most impact on my life. Ever since about first grade, my father had been very sick, in and out of the hospitals, with complications following surgery. It was in the fourth grade when I would never see him again. He died February 10th, 1990. I was 11 years old. I barely knew how to act as a child, let alone how to deal with this new challenge. Mrs. Summers not only took care of me, but she took care of my family. She came to my father's viewing and funeral. She made several meals for my family during this time, for my mother, who was now a single parent of 3. She stayed after school and gave me one-on-one attention to catch me back up to speed for all the days that I had missed during his sickness. But most importantly, she never gave up on me. I would just sit and cry for no reason in the middle of her room. And she would come right over in the middle of teaching and give me the warmest of hugs I'd ever felt. And while still talking and teaching the rest of the lesson. She never gave in to me or gave me any special treatment. She never cut me any slack when it came to school either. I know that must have been hard for her, but she knew that it was best for me. I will forever be in debt to her for all that she has done for me, and, when she never had to in the first place. She will always hold a special place in my heart. Mr. Gibbons was my 5th grade teacher. If there's any students left, I said this morning, he actually used to teach. He wasn't always an administrative figure with the schools. He was the first full year male teacher that I had, and I didn't really know what to expect. He was kind of loud when he spoke, but not mean at all. He clearly meant business, though, when he had to, and he also showed his fun side, which was most days. He introduced teaching ideas that I'd never seen or heard of before. We played spelling bee kickball in his classroom. Literally, moved desks, had a ball, and was just kicking this kickball around the classroom. He assigned us group projects in the 5th grade. Nowadays, I think that's a little more common, but back then, I'd never heard of that. I remember to this day, though, that somehow, some way, I was paired with my good friends Trevor Bogan and Jay Blackburn, and we made a commercial for our group project, in which we had to sell a product. Conveniently, we named them JJT Cookies. I know it's an original name. My sister Jennifer, who, again, is 5 years older than me, she was our pastry chef. She, I don't know, made how many batches of these chocolate cookies that had little cherries in them. Do you remember that? That's because I'm younger. That's why I remember. And not only made enough for our presentation, but made enough so we took them in for the whole class. And it was just a great time. It taught us teamwork, using resources, and public speaking, all of which I use today as a fire lieutenant. The most memorable moment of 5th grade, however, had to be when Mr. Gibbons, even though he's an avid Cardinals fan, allowed us to decorate our desks with brooms that we made out of construction paper to celebrate the 1990 World Champion Reds. Mr. Gibbons, I wanted you to know that you are a shining example of what a man should be. Thank you for being a positive male role model for me in the most pivotal years of my life. Thank you. All right, I'm going to skip ahead here to high school because that's kind of where I began to realize all these things. First, Mr. Bill Carver. He was my assistant band director from junior high school through high school. Yet just another amazing male role model that I was blessed to have in my life. He and his wife, Helen, had never had any children of their own, but they had the most kids a couple could ever have in their lives. I'm pretty sure between all of his band students and all the students that Helen helped over the years as a guidance counselor, I'm pretty sure they had around 378 children. I vividly remember a group of us kids going over to their house to help set up and decorate for Christmas every year. Let me tell you, I understand why now. That tree was at least 13 feet tall, covered with hundreds of ornaments, but we had so much fun. We decorated, we sang, of course, and they fed us, so that was the best part. Bill and Helen were like second parents to me. I remember house setting for them while they were on vacation. He hired me one year to paint the outside of their house, not knowing I had no clue what I was doing. And just his helping with endless hours, of yard work and stuff that they did, he'd always ask me to come. So, of course, I did. And then one day he tearfully asked me to play trumpet in a brass quartet for Helen's funeral service. Helen Carver was an angel on earth and is now in heaven, and she continues to look down and care for each of her kids every day. I have had the distinct privilege to have a relationship with Mr. Carver now into adulthood. He introduced me to barbershop, singing, and he is the reason I became a member of the Miami Valley Music Men, which I'm currently the frontline director of the chorus, but I still often lean on Mr. Carver for advice. And let me tell you, he has no problem approaching me to let me know how I can improve. And I'm thankful for that. He continues to be a part of my life. We go out to dinner sometimes with our wives and, of course, singing as much as we can. He will never know how much he has helped me throughout my life, and I will never, ever be able to repay him. I will, however, do a better job at calling him Bill instead of Mr. Carver, as he has requested. Lastly, and certainly not least, Mr. Kirsch. I had the privilege today, didn't even know it, that Doyle, who you'll see here in just a minute, we came in today and were able to speak to some of the current students, and that was a true blessing. And it just by chance, I got to talk in Mr. Kirsch's AP chemistry class, or biology, I'm sorry. For those of you who don't know Mr. Kirsch, he's a little on the shorter side, but he doesn't lack in confidence at all. Having confidence in yourself is what he taught me best, and to take pride in what you do and to strive to make others more proud of you. I'll never forget the feeling that I had one day after not performing to my potential on a test. Mr. Kirsch would call you up individually and go over the grade in a grade book. You guys understand what that is, but the kids today had no idea what a grade book was. Anyway, it was my turn, and come up to see my grade, and as I approached, he looked at me and he slowly pointed to the grade in the book. And it was the solid F. I mean, it was solid work. And he said, without changing the tone of his voice or changing faces, he looked at me in the eye and he said, "Sir, I never, ever want to see this from you again." And man, I felt that feeling of instant wave of shame. And I said, "I never, ever want to do that again." And I was ashamed for being lazy, but I was most ashamed of the way that I felt that I had let him down, because he never lets his students down. It's hard watching a man that you look up to for his confidence and huge heart for everyone's struggle before you, and lately he's had to do that. Since that day in his life, I've witnessed this man come away from his tragic event the same way he taught all of us to handle ourselves in life. Honestly, confidently, and with the utmost integrity. He once again showed me how to be a better man, professional, husband, and father. And I haven't been in his classroom in 20 years. I know that I'm long-winded, and I apologize for that. But it's hard to express your gratitude and to try to make everyone else understand how humbled I am to receive this award, but knowing that it's not me. It's not just me. I had all these positive influences in my life, and I'll leave with this. I said this to the class today. I'm a firm believer that education is 90-10. You learn about 10% of what you can inside the classroom, and that is with the best teachers that I ever had. 90% comes from the work that you put in on your own time. And sometimes that's a struggle. I still struggle with that as promotion exams and classes that I'm about to take. But I have to remind myself of that. I grew up in this city. I still work in the city, and I have family that live here. It saddened me to hear of others in the community, and especially those from not this community, talk about Fairborn schools as a place they'd never want their children to learn. I had a wonderful education at Fairborn schools. I was offered opportunities that no other person my age was offered. I had amazing teachers, mentors, and other staff who care deeply for children and their education, and that is the reason I am part of this group being honored tonight. I am forever grateful to have attended and graduated from Fairborn schools and all of the life lessons that were given to me along the way. I am proud to say that I am a Skyhawk. Thank you.
Doyle Wright graduated in 1985 from Fairborn High School, where he was a member of the Speech and Debate Club and a group commander in JROTC. He earned an associate's degree from Clark State and a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice Administration from Park University. He is a graduate of the School of Police Staff and Command and the Police Executive Leadership College and holds multiple certifications. He has been a police officer for the Enon, Clifton, and Fairborn police departments, and in 1989 joined the Beaver Creek Department, where he was the negotiator commander of the SWAT team and rose to the rank of captain. He retired from the Beaver Creek Department in 2014 and served as the Chief Deputy for the Clark County Sheriff's Office. In 2017, he joined the West Milton Village Police Division, and in 2018 was promoted to Lieutenant Assistant Chief. He was named the Police Officer of the Year by the Beaver Creek Fraternal Order of Eagles in 1990 and received 2 Meritorious Service Awards for life-saving incidents. He is the lead singer and guitar player for the Rock Island Plow Company Bluegrass Band and president of the church council at Bethel Lutheran Church. He and his wife, Laura, reside in Fairborn. They have 3 children, Holly, a paramedic, Heather, a police officer, and Evan, a sophomore at Greenon High School. Superintendent North, it is my honor to present for enshrinement into the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor, Doyle Wright.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Unlike what JR said, I never had a desire to be a fireman. I always wanted to be a policeman. That's a little rivalry that police and fire always have with each other. I just want to start off by saying I thank all those attending this evening. Each of you are important to us in sharing this evening with us. And I also congratulate each of the inductees this evening. This is a great honor, and I'm truly humbled to be standing here beside them this evening. Since graduating from this great school district 33 years ago, my life's taken me to many places I could have never have imagined. As a kid growing up in Fairborn, attending Fairborn schools, I never imagined living away from here or going out of the city. I always wanted to be a Fairborn police officer all through my high school years. And I believed that there was nowhere else that I could work. And that dream kind of came to a halt when my eyesight didn't meet the requirements of the Fairborn Police Agency. But I didn't give up my lifelong goal or my high school dream of being a police officer, and I kept seeking it out. And fortunately, in 1989, the city of Beaver Creek gave me that opportunity to be a police officer. And that's where my career at a larger agency began. While in college, I had a great opportunity to go to the academy and be a police officer, so I've cherished that work since 1986, working for villages and smaller agencies prior to working for the city of Beaver Creek. And I thought at the age of 21, when I got on at the police department in Beaver Creek, I thought, boy, I've got the world by the tail. But in reality, and looking back on it, and 26 years later of spending a lifetime, it felt like at the city of Beaver Creek, I think the world had me by the tail. I learned so many things in that 26 years. I'm sure many of you share that same thought. If you knew what you knew today and could go back and do your life all over, how much different it would be. It would be such a different world. But that's all part of learning, and that's what this is about. As I said, I spent the next 26 years of the city of Beaver Creek as a police officer, a DARE officer, crime prevention officer, sergeant, SWAT team commander, and my last several years as a captain division commander. And during my tenure with the police department, I earned a bachelor's degree. I went to several command courses. I got married, built a house, had 3 kids. A lot of things occurred. And then I had a golden opportunity at the end of my career with the city of Beaver Creek to go to the Clark County Sheriff's Office. And one of those people that I had admired from a distance for many, many years was Sheriff Gene Kelly. He's retired, and he's here with us this evening, and I'm honored to have him as part of the audience. But we knew each other from a distance, not really close as friends, but he took a gamble on me in 2014 and allowed me to be his chief deputy. And it was one of the greatest achievements that I had done to that date because he allowed me to not just be his chief, but he allowed me to run the sheriff's office and to make it a better place. Together, I think we accomplished a lot of things in the short tenure that I had there. And I served proudly in that position. I enjoyed it, one of the greatest jobs I ever had. But as we all know, as God would have it, he always, one door closes, another opens. I wasn't ready to officially retire, although I had retired from the pension system. I wasn't ready to get out of law enforcement, and I had an opportunity to go to West Milton. West Milton's been a great place to go back to. I started in small villages. It's a small village again. We're on the threshold of becoming a city, but it is a great place for me to go back to and feel like I did 32 years ago, first getting into law enforcement. and I'm getting to help build that agency and work through it. So I enjoy working there, being the lieutenant and assistant chief at West Milton. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how important it is to have time to relax and do other things. You heard that I in bluegrass. How many of you enjoy bluegrass? I appreciate that. Thanks, JR. I'll pay you later. But I grew up on bluegrass music. I've always enjoyed it. It's been something that's been a kind of like a second nature for me. And I had the opportunity for about 8 years to be a disc jockey at WYSO Radio at 91.3 on the FM dial over in Yellow Springs. I had to give that up last year, but on Saturday nights did a program called Down Home Bluegrass, and Sunday mornings Rise on the Rooster Crows. I think it's important, no matter what your job is, that you have something that takes you away from your day-to-day job that you're doing, that kind of puts you into a different light and gives you some relaxation and time away from the day-to-day job. And I encourage each of you to have an outside hobby or interest of some sort. I look back over my life and career and all my accomplishments only to reflect on how none of them would have been possible without the educational foundation I received right here in the Fairborn school system. While I entered the high school, I joined the junior ROTC program. I think back to Chief Master Sergeant Artuso and Lieutenant Colonel Spots, who were great influences on my life. Those two men taught me many, many things throughout my high school career, but they taught me mostly how to be a leader and how to earn and garner respect by giving respect, and I appreciate that. That's paid twofold throughout my career. I didn't always want to be a police officer. I entered high school not knowing what I wanted to do, but while as a freshman they had us do a survey, and during that survey they gave us back the results of it, and one of the things that I apparently garnered well on the survey was to be I was good at criminal justice type work. And they sent the surveys out, the high school did, to all the different jobs around that would allow shadowing or had some type of opportunity for the students to go in and learn more about it. And they sent my information to the Fairborn Police Department. And a letter showed up in my mailbox at home inviting me to come to the Fairborn Police Department and be an Explorer cadet. That was the turning point in my life that I found what I wanted to do. I went in to see that, joined the program, and the first day getting to ride in the police car and seeing what life is about and helping others and making a difference turned my world at that point. So I love the junior ROTC program. I took away from that many discipline values that I still to this day hold true to my heart. I hold such fond memories of my school years. I've been blessed to have some of the greatest teachers to ever step in front of the students. Many of them hold a special place in my heart yet today. Mr. Gibbons is here. He was my 5th grade teacher, and I had him, I think his 2nd year he was actually teaching, and he was a newlywed. He'd just gotten married, and we were talking today earlier of his kids are grown and live out of state, and he's moved since retiring. He got to see me as a young tot all the way up to where I am today, so that was great to get to visit with him. I not only learned academics from all my teachers, but I learned most importantly life values. It speaks volumes when you learn as much from the way the teacher conducts themselves as you learn from the academics they teach. Fairborn City School has a tradition of fostering nothing less than great teachers. And I want to thank each of the teachers who took their time to leave the lasting impressions on me. I thank the school administrators for devoting their time to making Fairborn City Schools one of the greatest in the Miami Valley. I also want to thank my mom and dad for being here this evening, Garland and Linda Wright. Without them, life wouldn't have been possible. They stood by me and encouraged me in every turn that I made. I'm blessed in so many ways to have such great parents, and for them choosing Fairborn to be their home. They're not from this area, so when they got married, they came to Fairborn on their honeymoon. They're still on it. So. I also want to thank my wife, Laura. We've been married just recently 29 years. And it's not always been a great 29 years, but it has been a wonderful 29 years. She's my life every day. I look forward to coming home so that we can just spend the evening together. I look forward to the weekends. And she's blessed me with 3 beautiful children, Holly, Heather, and Evan. All of us, except for Evan, are in the public service business. I never force my kids to go into any particular job. They've chosen those on their own. But I think in watching my wife, who's a school teacher, and me, who is a police officer their whole life, they felt that there was a calling in public service, and that's where they ended up. And I'm truly proud of their accomplishments. My son is talking of doing the same thing. He's a sophomore at Greenon High School. So I thank them all, and my daughter's here this evening, and my wife as well. I appreciate them being here. I also I thank the Fairborn Schools for bestowing on me the greatest honor tonight, and last but not least, I also thank my Lord and Savior. I couldn't be anywhere in this world if it wasn't for God, who walked with me each and every day and has shown me the way. And I thank each of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come here and share this evening with us. Time is cherished and gets away from us all far too often. Those who know me know that I also have a great loving for what they call dad jokes. And in talking about how I feel like, I'm a very devout Christian, and I go to church every Sunday, church council president, and I live for that Sunday morning to get through the church doors and see all those folks. I thought I'd leave you with this little story. I tell everyone a friend of mine had this dream, but in reality, I think a lot of us can see the light in this whole thing. But I would leave this with you. 3 old ladies have passed away, and they went to heaven. As they got to the doors, or the gates of heaven, St. Peter met them there. And he said, "Ladies, there's only one thing that I ask of you when you come in here that you have to abide by." And they said, "What's that?" He said, "I don't want you to step on a duck." Well, they thought, how hard could that be? For eternity to get to heaven, I'll be able to not step on a duck. So they accepted the challenge, and in the gate they went. And the first old lady wasn't there 5 minutes. She stepped on a duck. Here comes St. Peter in a huff. He was so mad. Had the ugliest man with him she'd ever seen. Chained them together, looked at her, and said, "You two will be together for eternity." And away he went. The other 2 old ladies said, "No way are we going to step on a duck, because we don't want to be chained to an ugly man the rest of eternity." But lo and behold, on the second day, second old lady stepped on a duck, and here comes St. Peter again in a huff with the ugliest man she'd ever seen, and chained them together. Walked away. Third old lady said, "I'll stand in the same spot for eternity. No way am I going to be chained to an ugly man." She did a great job. She went for many, many years, never stepped on a duck. And out of the blue, here comes St. Peter, and he chained the most beautiful, handsome guy to her she'd ever seen in her life, and just walked away, didn't say anything. She looked up at this young man. She said, "My, oh my, how did I deserve such a beautiful, handsome guy?" He said, "I don't know, ma'am, but I stepped on a duck."
Accepting the award for the Edwin Burkhart family is Craig Moore. Craig attended Central Elementary and Junior High Schools. During his 7th and 8th grade years, he was a member of the Dayton Rotary Boys Choir and sang with them at Disneyland and aboard the USS Hornet. He graduated in 1968 from Fairborn High School, where he was a 3-year member of the a cappella choir, a member of the choraleers in the 12th grade, and a cast member in 2 school musicals. He earned a Bachelor of Science degree in education from the University of Cincinnati in 1972 and a Master's in Educational Administration from the University of Dayton in 1981. From 1973 to 2005, he taught American history at Central Junior High School and later Baker Junior High School, where he made his lifelong interest in the history of Osborne and Fairborn a part of his history curriculum. He implemented the first junior high wrestling program at Central Junior High School and coached wrestling for 9 years at both the junior and senior levels. He also coached football for 14 years, 10 of them on the varsity level at Fairborn Baker High School. He is currently serving on the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor committees and the Athletic Hall of Fame Committee, and is a board member and current treasurer of the Fairborn Education Foundation Alumni Association. His interests include golfing, woodworking, and family genealogy, and he is helping to locate and catalog Osborne, Bath, and Fairborn schools memorabilia. Craig was a neighbor of the Burkhart family while he was growing up, and he had Mr. Burkhart as his principal when he was in the 9th and 10th grades at Fairborn High School. And so he has many memories to share about Edwin C. Burkhart. Superintendent North, it is my honor to present Craig Moore, who will accept on behalf of Edwin Burkhart.
Tonight, I'm pleased to represent Mr. Burkhart's 3 children, 8 grandchildren, and 27 great-grandchildren. They wish to thank all of those involved with the honoring of their father's 18 years of service as principal of Fairborn High School with this enshrinement. His achievements are well documented in tonight's program. I hope to add a little more flavor to those instead of just reiterating those again. First of all, let's look at a principal. The chief operating officer of a school makes sure the foundation is firmly set, approves clubs, programs, and events, but seldom gets recognition like the championship-winning coach, the successful musical director, the band director, or the choir director. Their names don't adorn buildings, stadiums, or yearly awards. Most students' only interaction with the high school principal is when they see his or her name on their diploma, or they get a handshake at commencement. So let's see what Edwin Burkhart did in his 18 years at Fairborn City Schools. This will be a history lesson for some of you, and it will be fond memories for others. So let's take a few minutes. Bath Township Consolidated School would be his 3rd stop as an educator. The district had consolidated from 3, Fairfield High School, Osborne High School, and Bath Township High School. The building on North Central was built in the 1920s and added on to twice. By 1949, his first year as principal, the student enrollment at Bath at grades 7 through 12, which he was in charge of, had reached 663 students with 111 graduates. At the end of his tenure in 1966, at 3-year Fairborn High School, 1,752 students and 484 graduates. The school district was certainly growing, and with total enrollment in 1949 at 2,718, and by 1966, listen to this number, 9,272. So it was certainly a population explosion during his time as principal. He would oversee the moving into a new high school building, now Baker Middle School, that was built for 650 students and had an enrollment of 630 on the first day it held classes, which, by the way, were delayed a few days because the new student desks hadn't arrived on time, so they had to delay the opening of the high school. An additional wing would be added to this building in 1955 with Memorial Stadium and the field house, and then another addition of 23 classrooms in 1958. He was involved in all 3 of these building decisions. One can only imagine the logistics of moving into a new building, assigning classrooms, hiring new faculty, and also dealing with new construction for the first 6 years in this new building. He was also involved in the decision to change the athletic events from the Little Six League to the Miami Valley League, and again in 1960s to the Western Ohio League. Academically, he thought academics were extremely important and the main element of a good education. He believed a well-rounded education came with student interaction with other students through after-school clubs and academic competitions and musical competitions. Here are some examples. In 1949, his first year, WING Radio did a live show from the auditorium at Bath High School, featuring student entertainment and interviews. From 1958 to 1966, there was a succession of 9 musical productions that were well attended by the community. In 1966, a student court was created, as well as Spanish, French, and Shakespeare clubs. Over 24 clubs created during his tenure as principal. In the community, he was an active member of the Fairborn Rotary Club and was its president at one time for 21 years as a member of the Rotary Club. He was active in the International Student Exchange Program, which was sponsored by the Rotary and his own great-grandson was an exchange student to Brazil in 2011. Personally, when I was in junior high, as a member of the Dayton Rotary Boys Choir, I came in contact with my neighbor, Mr. Burkhart, while selling candy to raise money for the annual spring tour. I knocked on his front door, and during my spiel, he heard the word Rotary and invited me in and wanted to know the whole story. It was during this conversation that he mentioned that I'd be missing some school days. His philosophy of the well-rounded student's education became very evident when he said, I'd learn as much about school or life on my week-long trip than sitting in a classroom. He was correct. That trip certainly was an education outside the classroom for me. He continued the tradition of the farewell senior message with his first 1949 graduates. For many years, these messages appeared in the Osborne Herald and in the Fairborn Daily Herald, as well as the yearbooks. His own words truly show his interest in education, student interactions with each other, the world around them, and his hope for their futures. To the seniors of 1951, who were born during the Great Depression, grew up during World War II, and were graduating at the time of the Korean War, he left the following message, I quote, "The future is always uncertain, and the more uncertain, the more challenging. Don't let the fog of unrest cause you to lose sight of your goal in the stars. There is a niche for everyone to fill. Some will need a college education to fill that niche. Others will work to that goal with no more formal education. He who serves mankind well and to the best of his or her ability is a success regardless of life, regardless of title, station, or income." Near the end of his career, one farewell that he wrote, he could have written to any of his 18 classes. Quote, "You are the largest graduating class of Fairborn High School. This is symbolic of the present times, an exploding world population, a burgeoning enrollment in schools and colleges of cities and corporations ever expanding in numbers. However, you are more than mere numbers. You are individuals with talents, visions, and potentials. On the prizes which lie ahead, yet unclaimed, you will find price tags asking for some old virtues, such as sacrifice, work, honesty, integrity, honor, and loyalty. Graduation from high school is a goal achieved. However, it is only a goal to be taken in stride. Education is a continuous process, not measured in diplomas or degrees or schools attended, but in attitudes and habits and vision acquired through day-by-day preparation and participation." These words were heeded by his own children, all Fairborn graduates. Son Cecil served 3 years in the Army, became a college graduate, and then on to medical school to become a doctor of pathology, and over 40 years a Rotarian. Late son Richard, 2 years in the Army, a college degree in chemical engineering, became a high school chemistry teacher, and then a chemical engineer at the Drackett Company, where his name appears on 2 national patents. Daughter, Mrs. Betty Benasuti, was a college graduate in elementary education and worked with the Minnesota Literacy Council. The many students with which he might have had contact or influence over the 18 years in Fairborn also heeded his words, as 67 of them are in the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor. With the 6 enshrinees this evening, the Hall of Honor will now have 200 members. The majority are graduates of the Fairborn City Schools. Some are not graduates, but are the people who have built the solid foundation of the Fairborn City Schools. It is certainly appropriate to add the name of Edwin C. Burkhart to join the names of his peers and fellow foundation builders like Homer K. Baker, Fred Bushmeyer Sr., and Harry Smith, just to name 3. Thank you for honoring this fine gentleman and educator.
Joanne Sheppard Collins graduated in 1967 from Fairborn High School. She earned a degree in public relations and marketing from Clark State College and was employed at numerous businesses, including Prather Eigel Tax Service, Russell and Company, H&R Block Executive Division, and Fairborn City Schools. She is a life member of the Gold Wing Road Riders and the Public Relations Officer for the Fairborn Chapter F Club, where she was the first person to receive the Individual of the Year award. She organized the first motorcycle cruise-in for charity in Ohio and was in charge of public relations for Greene County Fairgrounds state rallies, which attracted over 2,000 bikers. She has been a volunteer for the Red Cross as a mass care disaster worker, has done extensive modeling for charity, and was the Silver Lake Ice Queen and a contestant in the Mrs. Ohio pageant. She is currently the co-chair of the Fairborn Military Veterans Memorial Committee and the publicity volunteer for the Fairborn Senior Center. She was included in the Cambridge Who's Who Register of Executives, Professionals, and Entrepreneurs 15th edition as an honored member. She and her husband, Bob, reside in Fairborn and have 2 children. Timothy and his wife, Jenna, live in Australia and with their 6 children, and Cynthia and her husband, Darren Beller, reside in Fairborn. Superintendent North, it is my honor to present for enshrinement into the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor, Joanne Sheppard Collins.
Thank you so much. I want to thank you. This is a privilege and an honor. I have a hanky here. The people that know me, I talk from the heart. I don't write out my speeches. No, they got a bet going on how long I can get through this without crying. So we'll see who wins. I've heard a lot of them talk about the teachers and the impact they make on their life. The biggest part of our children, they are a big part in the school. They give a lot of hours, times, and commitment, and it's important that our schools and our teachers are up to speed regarding our children. I know one teacher in particular made an impact on my life. It was when we were going from math to algebra in my 9th grade freshman year, and the teacher had just opened the quarter and started it, and he passed out the test papers, and I get a tap on my shoulder. The student behind me says, "Move over." Now, some of you know what that means. He's wanting to copy. The poor guy had no clue that I had nothing going as far as knowing what was on this test. So needless to say, everybody's paper went out, everybody's paper went in. That was on Friday. On Monday, the teacher came in and he says, "Does anybody have any questions?" He's passing out all the papers and stuff. We all failed. He was not a happy camper. He didn't know what we weren't doing. But this teacher did not bully, did not holler, did not yell. He went back to old school. We had blackboards then with chalk. And what he did was, there was 30 in my class. He took 10, put 5 on one board, 5 on the other, give us all the same problem, and says, work it. You can't cheat, and he's watching what you're doing. We all worked the problem. We sat down. The next group came up. They did the same thing, different problem. The third group, they did the same thing. They went up with another problem. He was watching us. He was seeing what we weren't seeing because we didn't know what to ask. He was concerned. He was a genuinely good teacher. He wanted us to learn. He knew it was important, that education is what students need. And it was very important that we learn this. He handed out a test after he explained problem by problem what was going on and what we needed to know. We took the test, we went home, and the next day we came back. He passed out the papers. He looked at all of us. He clapped and smiled. Now, we didn't get A's. We didn't all make A's, but we did all pass. We learned it because he cared enough to teach it. And what he taught me, just as the other teachers have taught these honorees, is that if you care about something, truly care and are passionate about something, it's worth the time and the trouble. Now, I've been recognized Here we go. I've been recognized as volunteer, but what they don't understand, a lot of them, is a volunteer is not just one person. A volunteer is made up of groups of people, and it controls and consumes a lot of people. I am blessed that my husband, going on 49 years, has backed me, loved me, supported me with the family in letting me the privilege of being able to help others. And what I would like to do now, I would like my husband, my family, my cousins, my church people, thank God, my friends, my neighbors, my classmates that are here, my chapter FGWRRA, my Red Cross friends, my Fairborn Military Veterans Memorial friends, and my Fairborn seniors and community that know me and are supporting me. Would you please rise right now? I want to honor you. I want to thank you, because without you and the God up ahead and my faith, there would be no reward for me. There would be no volunteering, because you all have made this possible. And I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. God bless you.
The immediate families and special guests will be joining the inductees and the presenters for the unveiling of the new plaques in the Hall of Honor hallway outside the back doors of the auditorium. You are cordially invited to the reception in the Commons on the second floor. Just follow the crowd and you'll arrive there just fine. If you need assistance, there is an elevator in the back hallway. Please sign the guest book in the Commons and consider taking a Hall of Honor nomination form. Feel free to come back to the Hall of Honor hallway just outside the auditorium to view the entire Hall of Honor. Thank you for attending tonight's ceremony, and we hope to see you at the next Hall of Honor program in April of 2019. Thank you.